I've always believed every family has at least one secret. I just never imagined mine would begin with a hug. It happened on a Saturday, one of those warm, lazy afternoons when the grill smoke hangs in the air and everyone pretends their lives are happier than they really are. My brother Jason had invited the whole family over for a backyard barbecue. He and his wife, Emily, were the golden couple, the ones everyone pointed to when they wanted to say, "See, some marriages actually work." I used to believe that too. I showed up late because of work, something Jason teased me about the second I walked in. "Man, you ever take a day off?" He laughed, slapping me on the shoulder. "Trying to," I joked back, but my mind was already drifting to my wife, Anna. She hadn't been herself lately, restless, distracted, scrolling her phone like it was keeping her alive. I told myself it was stress, but deep down, something colder had been forming in my gut. That kind of quiet dread you don't want to name. Still, I tried to shake it off and enjoy the day. Emily was at the grill, laughing, flipping vegetables with Jason like they were starring in some cozy cooking commercial. She had always been warm toward me, friendly, supportive, but never strange, never unsettling. Until that day. When she saw me, she put down the spatula, walked over with that soft smile she always had, and opened her arms. I didn't think twice. She was family, but when she hugged me, something felt wrong. She didn't just hug me, she held me, too close, too long. Her hands lingered on my back in a way that made every hair on my neck stand up. I tried pulling away politely, but she tightened her grip by a heartbeat. And then she whispered, "Not sweet, not joking, not harmless. You deserve to know the truth before he tells his version." I froze. I didn't move. I didn't breathe. I didn't understand. Before I could react, she pulled away with the brightest smile I'd ever seen on her to practice and went right back to the grill as if nothing had happened. Jason didn't notice a thing. He was laughing with her cousins, telling some story about his job. The whole yard kept running like the world hadn't tilted under my feet. I watched her from across the lawn. She laughed with the others, brushed hair behind her ear, leaned into Jason like she loved him. She didn't look like a woman who had just set a bomb in motion, but I felt it ticking inside me. During dinner, every normal conversation felt distorted. Every clink of silverware sounded louder. Emily avoided my eyes. When she finally glanced at me, she gave a brief, apologetic smile as if she knew exactly what she'd done and exactly what it would cost. By the time the sun set, I couldn't take it anymore. I pulled her aside near the sliding door, away from everyone. "What did you mean?" I demanded quietly. Her face changed instantly. Fear, guilt, something else I couldn't place. She looked down, twisted her wedding ring, then glanced back toward my brother. "Not here," she whispered. "And not tonight." My chest tightened. "Emily, just tell me." "You need to talk to Anna," she said, barely audible. "Before this gets worse." My wife's name hit me like a thrown brick. "What does Anna have to do with anything?" Her lips trembled. She swallowed hard. "Everything." I felt my pulse hammering in my ears. "Emily." She shook her head, eyes glossy, voice cracking. "I'm sorry. I thought she told you." There it was, the confirmation I never wanted. Something was wrong. Something big. Something I had been too blind or too trusting to see. When I left the barbecue, I didn't say goodbye. I barely made it into my car before the dread turned into a cold clarity. My brother's wife hadn't hugged me. She had warned me. And suddenly my own marriage, every argument, every late night text my wife forgot to tell me about, every cold shoulder felt like pieces of a puzzle I hadn't realized I was meant to solve. The whole drive home, one question echoed in my mind, growing sharper with every mile. What truth did Emily think I deserved to know? I didn't walk into my house that night. I drifted in like a man floating into the aftermath of a fire, looking for what was left standing. The lights were off, except for the soft glow coming from the living room. Anna was curled on the couch under a blanket, scrolling on her phone with that absent expression she'd perfected lately, the one that made me feel like a ghost sitting at my own dinner table. She didn't look up when I entered. "How was the barbecue?" she asked, her voice flat. Eyes still glued to the screen. My chest tightened. Normally, I would have mumbled something simple. "Good, fine, same as always," but nothing felt normal anymore. Emily's whisper was still burning in my ear. "You tell me," I said. That made her look up slowly, cautiously, like she already knew this wasn't a casual conversation. What's that supposed to mean? She asked. I studied her face. I'd been with this woman for 8 years. I knew every shift in her voice, every tiny flicker of discomfort. And right now, she wasn't confused. She was frightened. Emily talked to me, I said. Her breath hitched. So small, so sharp. I might have missed it if I hadn't been staring straight at her. About what? She whispered. She said I needed to talk to you before things got worse. For a second, Anna didn't move. Then she set her phone down carefully, quietly like she was defusing a bomb. Her hands trembled, and she tucked them under the blanket as if hiding the shaking would hide the truth. What did she tell you? She asked. Nothing, I said. She didn't have to. Silence. A long, stretching silence that wrapped around us like a tightening rope. When she finally spoke, her voice was barely a whisper. I was going to tell you. My stomach dropped. So there is something to tell. Anna closed her eyes and nodded once short, defeated, like someone giving up the last bit of strength they had. It wasn't supposed to happen, she said. My heart hammered. I felt heat rising in my face. What wasn't supposed to happen? Her lip quivered. She looked away. Anna, she opened her eyes, and for the first time in weeks, she looked straight at me, not like a wife looking at her husband, but like a defendant meeting a judge. It was Jason, she said. I felt the floor tilt beneath me. Jason, my brother, the man who laughed with me at the grill. Just hours earlier. The man I trusted more than anyone. I took a step back without meaning to. You were lying, I said quietly. She shook her head, tears already spilling. No, I'm not. I'm so sorry. I stared at her, my pulse roaring like a siren. My brain rejected it, refused it, tried to rewrite the words into something less impossible. Jason? My brother? How long? I managed. A few months. She whispered. My hands curled into fists without me noticing. When she swallowed hard, it started. Round the time your mom got sick. My stomach twisted. That was when I'd been spending nights at the hospital, splitting myself between work and family, trying to keep everything from falling apart. And while I was fighting to hold the world together, I couldn't finish the thought. Anna wiped her eyes with the back of her hand. It's over, I swear. I ended it. I laughed, a short, sharp, humorless sound I didn't recognize coming from my own throat. You ended it, I repeated. And I'm supposed to applaud you for that? She flinched. But I didn't soften. Not anymore. Something in me had hardened, crystallized. A part of me I didn't know existed until it was forced to surface. Why did Emily tell you? She asked, her voice cracking. I stared at her. She didn't tell me anything. She just gave me a reason to look at you honestly. Anna wiped her face again, but the tears kept coming. Please. Can we talk? Can we? No, I said, calm, cold, final. You had months to talk. Her shoulders collapsed. She slid off the couch to her knees, reaching for me. Please don't do this, please. I stepped back. Don't touch me. Her face crumpled like paper. I'm sorry, she sobbed. It was a mistake. I was lonely and stupid, Anne. Don't insult both of us. I snapped. This wasn't a mistake. This was a choice. Over and over and over again. She covered her mouth with trembling hands, and suddenly it hit me, Emily's hug, her whispered warning, her shaking voice. She wasn't trying to save her marriage. She was trying to save me, because she knew exactly what kind of man Jason really was when no one was looking. I walked toward the door. I needed air, space, a second to breathe before the rage swallowed me whole. Where are you going? Anna cried. To think, I said without turning back. When will you be home? I paused at the doorway, gripping the frame so hard my knuckles ached. Home? I said. I'm not sure we share one anymore. I closed the door behind me, leaving her on the floor broken, sobbing. And finally honest. But honesty after betrayal isn't healing. It's too late. Truth. A truth that was now turning my entire family inside out. I drove without a destination, just streets, turns, and the kind of numbness that keeps rage from spilling over. Betrayal hits differently when it comes from two people you built your life around. One wound cut by your wife, the other carved by your own blood. Eventually, I parked in an empty supermarket lot. Midnight. The kind of quiet that forces you to hear your own breathing. I sat there gripping the steering wheel, trying to understand the past months, the excuses, the late nights, the coldness, the sudden girl trips, the distance she swore was stress, and Jason. God, Jason. I thought about childhood, sharing bunk beds, backyard football, him defending me in school fights. I never imagined the same man would one day become the reason my marriage collapsed. My phone buzzed. A text. Emily, I'm awake. If you need answers, come over. Answers. Not comfort, not pity. Truth. I drove to her house, my heart pounding like I was walking into a crime scene. Maybe I was. Emily opened the door before I knocked. Her face was swollen, eyes red. She didn't look at me like family. She looked at me like someone carrying a burden that wasn't hers. Thank you for coming, she said quietly. I stepped inside and shut the door. How long have you known? She exhaled shakily. A few weeks. I found messages on Jason's old tablet, pictures, plans, times they'd meet while you were caring for your mom. My jaw tightened. I didn't trust myself to speak. Emily continued, her voice trembling. I confronted him. He made excuses. Then he blamed me for snooping. But I couldn't live in that lie. Not with you coming to barbecues, hugging Anna, laughing with Jason. It felt sick. She covered her mouth, tears slipping out. I told him if he didn't come clean, I would. He said you'd never believe me. So did I. I warned you the only way I could. I sank onto the couch, feeling older than my years. What happens now? She shook her head. For me, I'm leaving him. I can't stay with a man who treats betrayal like a hobby. I looked up sharply. A hobby? She nodded slowly. Your wife isn't the first. For a moment, the world spun. The room tilted. My breath stalled. Who? I forced out. Emily looked away. Someone from his office. A neighbor years ago. Maybe more. All the years of admiration. The loyalty I poured into him, it all felt ridiculous now. Jason wasn't the brother I remembered. He was a stranger wearing his face. You didn't deserve this, Emily whispered. Neither of us did. I nodded, but I didn't feel comfort. Just clarity. Cold, steady clarity. When I stood to leave, she grabbed my hand, not romantically, not desperately, just as someone who understood the shape of my wound because she carried one of her own. Don't let them lie their way back into your life, she said. Not Jason, not Anna. I won't, I said, and I meant it. I drove home at sunrise. Anna was sitting at the kitchen table, still in the clothes from last night. Eyes swollen. She stood when I walked in. I'll do anything, she whispered. Therapy, separation, whatever you want. I just don't want to lose you. I studied her, not with love, not with anger, but with finality. You already did, I said. Her knees buckled as if I'd struck her, but I didn't reach for her. I didn't fix it. I didn't soften. Some endings aren't cruel. They're necessary. Within a week, I moved out. Within a month, the divorce was filed. Jason tried calling twice. I blocked him both times. The world didn't fall apart without them. It got quieter. It got clearer. And one night, sitting alone in my new apartment, the memory of that barbecue came back to me. The hug, the whisper, the warning. You deserve to know the truth. She was right. And if anyone listening ever finds themselves in that moment when someone whispers a truth wrapped in fear, believe them. Because betrayal rarely starts with the act. It starts with the silence that follows.